Why are there so many horrific wildfires happening in America right now? Why are they unable to control and extinguish them? But the strangest thing is the person the United Nations is accusing of being the one behind these fires, claiming that they are the cause. Is it just a coincidence? Regular natural disasters? Or are there individuals and organizations behind these events? But what's even stranger is that there are people who talked about or predicted this before it even happened. The beginning of the story goes back to when the astute Leila Abdel Latif, as usual, came out and shared some predictions. She specifically mentioned America and said that a wave of fires would hit the country, resulting in significant damage, both material and human. She also mentioned that this crisis would attract global attention. As with most of her predictions, it didn't take long before we saw America literally engulfed in terrifying scenes that we normally only see in Hollywood movies. So, what exactly happened? Let me explain. The situation started when weather warnings were issued in the United States, indicating that there could be wildfires due to the drought and lack of rainfall during this period. Moreover, this year's winter has been unusually warm, coupled with other contributing factors. Firefighters and fire response teams took all necessary precautions, preparing their vehicles and equipment, and deployed them to areas prone to frequent fires, mainly forests and areas that might be affected. Then came January 7th, last Tuesday, and as predicted, the fires erupted, massive and horrific. Residents of Los Angeles noticed that 5 huge wildfires occurred in the forests surrounding them. At first, the residents weren't too worried, as they were used to fires happening, and the firefighters typically controlled them and put them out quickly. However, this time, no one could stop the fire, and it kept growing. The fires spread so fast that the winds were blowing them at a speed of 5 football fields per minute. With the extreme speed of the fire and its height, no one could do anything. The government had no choice but to evacuate entire areas affected by the fires. Police were advising people to run for their lives. The situation was escalating, and it felt like a scene straight out of an apocalyptic movie. People scrambled to save themselves and their loved ones or animals, while some tried to drive out of the areas engulfed in flames. The traffic became so congested that many vehicles were trapped, unable to move due to the overwhelming jam. Consequently, fire trucks couldn't reach their destinations in time to extinguish the flames. The problem was that there were not one, but 5 wildfires to contend with at the same time. Among these fires, 2 were particularly devastating. The fires forced the evacuation of 350,000 people and destroyed more than 14,000 hectares of land. For perspective, 14,000 hectares equals approximately 140 million square meters. In terms of buildings, around 10,000 structures were destroyed, including 5 synagogues, 11 schools, a Jewish temple, several banks, and libraries. The death toll stood at 11, although this number could have been much higher. Fortunately, the police managed to evacuate as many people as possible. The fires primarily affected wealthy areas, where there were larger spaces between homes and more distance between buildings. The destruction in public buildings and residential areas was indeed catastrophic, and experts said these fires could have become the most costly in U.S. history. According to initial estimates from the weather forecasting company AccuWeather, the economic damage from the fires alone could start at $150 billion. This doesn't even account for the losses caused by fires halting Hollywood movies, shows, and the canceling of events like the Oscars, which also cost billions. Every day that passed, the losses mounted. The insurance companies were the most affected by the situation, especially since many of the homes and structures destroyed were insured and belonged to the wealthy. Insurance companies are expected to pay out no less than $20 billion in just a few days, and the losses are growing every day. Now, you may be wondering, how is it that the United States, with all its advanced resources, cannot control these fires? Here's the answer. The response stated that the firefighting equipment they had could handle 1 or 2 large fires, but not 5 or 6 simultaneously. Additionally, last year and the year before, heavy rainfall in the area caused vegetation to thrive, which then dried up in the fall, creating a highly flammable environment. The fires started during a time of strong winds, specifically Santa Ana winds, which are not ordinary winds. They are literally a storm, moving at a speed of 100 miles per hour. And they carried the fires with them, spreading them rapidly to other areas. Interestingly, these winds, as for when this will end, sources have stated that the fires should be under control by next week, not because the authorities have managed to extinguish them, but because the wind speeds are expected to drop significantly, reducing the spread of the flames. However, some sources suggest that worse events may be on the horizon, with the winds potentially picking up again. Finally, the United States has imposed a curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. due to the increase in looting, especially in evacuated areas. The authorities have warned that anyone caught looting will be arrested and sent directly to jail. In a surprising move, the U.S. has also released 1,000 incarcerated firefighters to assist with extinguishing the fires, promising them monetary compensation and potential reductions in their sentences. This is the current situation in America with the ongoing wildfires. Whether it is a planned event or merely a series of unfortunate natural disasters, one thing is certain. The damage has been catastrophic, and while predictions may seem accurate, the truth is that only God knows what the future holds. Now, what do you think happened? Which theory do you believe is responsible for the spread of these fires? Would you be interested in discussing any other topics in the future?